All right, everyone, welcome to another review here from the Women's MTB Network. My name is Mia, and I'm going to be talking to you about the bike that's right behind me, the Levo SL Expert Carbon. It's their new version, new motor, new colors, new everything. So let's get into it. So I've had the opportunity to ride this bike for the last 6.5, almost 7 months. Thank you, huge shout out to a very special someone at Specialized for sending us this bike and letting me have it to test for the last 6 months to do this review. So this review is gonna cover a lot of things. We're gonna go over the geometry, how the bike rides, the motor, the app, as well as viewer questions that we got via our social media. We had a few of you reached out to us via Instagram with some questions, as well as some really good comments that I want to highlight towards the end of this video. The bike has 160 mil of travel in the front with 150 mil of travel in the rear. Some people consider that a trail bike. To me, it's a little bit more on the enduro-y side because of how much you can do with it, but that's just my personal opinion on the bike. So let's just start with the overall impressions. I thought this bike handled everything I threw at it. Seriously, everything I threw at it. The Levo is lean and responsive, meaning it's light, nimble, fast, and quick on every turn. Specialized describes the bike as a bike that delivers unmatched ride quality and capability. It's for the trail rider who craves the serpentine single track, sending it skyward, and lives for advancing your skills and fitness. So let's break that down. Everything in that statement I found to be true. First of all, it is the perfect trail bike. I rode this thing everywhere. I did tech climbs, tech steeps. I did flow climbs and flow steeps. What is a flow climb anyway? Something that doesn't have a lot of obstacles on your way and you can just pretty much go all the way up. I did chunky terrain and I also rode it on bike parks. A bike park. I'll talk about that in a little bit. The bike is light and capable. I'm riding the S2, which is in their smaller range frame. And it comes in at about 40 pounds. It's like 39.8, so I'm just rounding it up to 40 pounds with pedals on. So I took this bike on my local trails here in Southern California, which is a lot of cross-country trails. There are some technical terrain where you've got some roots and some rocks in there as well, and no issue. The bike, I cannot tell you guys how much fun I had on this bike. It maneuvers so quickly. It's responsive. It's easy to do wheelies and get rear wheel lifts and bunny hops. Because of the light weight of it, I didn't really feel that the weight was a negative or that it was holding me back. I actually really enjoyed it, and half the time when I would use it in eco mode, I didn't feel the weight was an issue at all. So this frame has a new carbon layup, which provides a super responsive, stiff ride. It made it so easy to maneuver anywhere I wanted to. With the 27.5 mullet in the back, it made the bike super fast for cornering, especially when I wanted to do tight corners where I had to kind of like really lean in. The 29er in the front, it gave me that super stable feeling where I was capable of handling any tech or chunky terrain. Keep in mind that even though it is a mullet setup, the bike is capable to be customized to a full 29er. So if you prefer the rolling traction benefits of a 29-inch wheel in the back, just flip the pivot link chip and mount like a bigger wheel on there. The cool thing is that you don't need extra tools or to buy anything else in order to convert that from a 27.5 to a 29er. So if you wanted that, why not? It's like a brand new bike all over again. Awesome, love it. This mullet feels good, man. Oh yeah. Fitness-wise, the bike has helped me a lot. I've talked in the past about how e-bikes to me are key, and it's changed so much about the sport for me. You know, in terms of timing, I have a lot more time to do extra laps, to practice some chunky stuff, to practice some flowy things. And just because it is an e-bike, it doesn't mean you don't get a workout. Because you're riding longer and you can put more power in the pedal, you're actually getting just as much of a workout as if you were to do an exertion in the same amount in an analog bike. So when I compare it on my Strava, I'm actually burning the same amount of calories, if not more, because I'm riding longer and I'm riding with a little bit more power. The one con I will talk about with the battery, which I'll touch on in a little bit, was that if you have it connected to your phone, the battery drained a lot quicker on the ride. But I'll talk about that in a little bit. The bike in general, because it's so light and stiff, it just gave me more confidence to use it on so many different terrains for me to train and to practice new skills.
All right, first switch back. There we go. Switch back number 1.
I felt that I could really conquer anything on this bike. The reach was perfect, the standover height was perfect, the wheelbase was great. Yeah, there's no complaints on this bike at all. So just because this bike is considered a trail bike, I took it to a bike park here in California. It's our local bike park. It's an enduro park, which means you have to pedal to the top to then drop down. And it is the best place for e-bikes. Like, the majority of the bikes you see there are e-bikes because you get to the top super quick and you can just do laps on laps on laps. It was super fun. So with that said, the bike being 160 mil of travel in the front and 150 in the back, to me that felt perfect. I could practice some of these jumps that I'm trying to do. I could practice some switchbacks and cornering. I never once felt I was gonna bottom out. That was like a sweet spot for me on a park bike. 160, 150, you can still have just as much fun on the trail. There was a section that I took the bike that I was really impressed, and it was the steep sections over at Sky Park. Sky Park has one little road called Electric Avenue where all the e-bikes go. It's a little shorter, but it's way steeper. And there were some sections that the bike did not struggle like the previous SL version did. There were a couple places where it was a little sluggish the steeper it got, but nothing that the bike couldn't handle on turbo mode. So let's talk about the motor and battery here for a second. Specialized has a new 1.2 motor that they've put on this bike. It is quiet, it's smooth, it has 43% more torque, which is 50 Newton meters, and 33% more power, giving you 320 watts than the previous version, the previous SL version. It results in what Specialized calls the double times, the 2 times U performance. I found this to be very accurate because I had used the previous version at Sky Park actually last summer. I was able to ride that bike local trails and at Sky Park, the SL. I was not a fan of that bike in terms of power at all. Even in full turbo, that bike performed to me like it was in the lower trail, higher eco part of the new SL behind me. So you can really tell the difference within the motor, the power of the motor and the battery in the newer version from the previous SL version. With that said, the motor does get a little loud depending on the mode you have it on and how powerful you're doing it. But it was not as loud as the other 2 e-bikes that I have done demos of. Those 2 motors, the Fazua and the Sirion, were quite a bit louder. The Sirion was quite a bit louder. The Fazua was okay than this Specialized motor. Didn't feel like I was hearing it, making it a big deal, just a couple of times when I was doing some tougher climbs. Specialized also has the Mastermind TCU display on the top tube of the bike. And it actually has 120 possible display configurations you can do, which is absolutely insane. It's one of the cool features of the bike. You guys know I'm a data nerd already. I say this in every video. I love to be able to see the metrics on the bike, on the tube of the bike, so I don't have to look at the app. And with the fact that you can customize it to 120 different displays, you can put the battery wattage, you can put the time, the speed, the connectivity, the trail mode, the eco mode, like all the good things. You can put so much display on there, the opportunities are endless. The battery is fully integrated with 320 watt of power, like I was saying earlier. And the one con that I touched on already is that I found that the battery drained a lot quicker when I had it connected to the app. I did a ride where the battery was at 100% when I started the ride because I wanted to test this out. I did about 16 miles on my local trails. There was climbs, descents, and I had it connected to my phone to track it, to get the metrics and the data on there. And the battery drained to 62%. So it drained almost 40% on a 16-mile ride. In comparison to when I did not have it connected to the app, the battery drained to 75. The battery drains depending on how you use it. Not only on Trail Eco Turbo, but the terrain that you're riding it on. Super steep, battery's gonna change. Length of time, battery range is gonna change. So I tested it in the exact same conditions in the exact same trails. And with the battery connected to the app, it drained a lot quicker. Now that we're talking about the app, I felt that the app is super robust. It's customizable, it connects to Strava and other smartwatches. I have it on my Apple Watch Ultra, but I know people that use it with Garmin and all those, and even a Wahoo watch. It gives you statuses of the battery, the motor. You can tune the motor to each different setting, so for Eco, Trail, and Turbo. And you even have more customizable settings whereby you have a universal setting that already comes preset on the bike. You have your custom settings, but you also have a racing setting, which is super cool. There's already things in the app that are there you can customize, but the fact that you can even do a racing setting, I thought was fantastic. I have aspirations to race an e-bike, so I want to test it out in the future. Let me know, what race do y'all think I should enter into? The Sturdy Dirty has always been on my list. Maybe that's one I could do next year. Anyway, the customizability of the app for the bike is off the charts. Absolutely love that feature of it as well. So let's touch on the geometry. The standover I felt on this bike, while it's a little bit higher, not by much, than the Heckler SL, to me wasn't an issue at all. I actually feel that I can fit better on that, even though the standover height's a little bit higher than the Heckler SL. It could be because the seat tube angle is a little bit different. The wheelbase is a little bit shorter than the Heckler SL, but for some reason I felt more stable on this. I don't know if it's because of the reach or, the head tube angle or the bottom bracket height. I'm not certain, but I felt that the geometry on this, I didn't feel as cramped or as tight than other previous bikes around the same size that I have demoed so far. So in terms of components, it's all Fox components. The S1 does come with 150 front and rear. You do have the option to make it 160 if you want to, but it comes with 150, which I think is great. It does have the new SRAM GX wireless T-type transmission. Huge fan of that transmission. It has new SRAM Code Stealth silver brakes, which were by far some of my favorite brakes that I have used. As you know, I am a TRP person. I love TRP brakes, but these SRAM brakes, the customizability, is that even a word? Let me know. The customizability of the brakes was really great. You can customize the lever length as well as the squish, how squishy you want it. To me was great, especially with someone with smaller hands. The saddle it came with was okay. I am a fan of Specialized saddles, especially because they make some very comfortable saddles for people with wider sit bones like me. I did change the saddle to a Specialized Mimic, which was within their wider millimeter width. Love it. That saddle, I have it on my analog bike and on this bike, and the Specialized saddles to me are by far some of the best. I have not tried Ergon, so I want to do a review on Ergon saddles. We are also putting together a big saddle review, so stay tuned for that. With these saddles, I don't wear a chamois, and I used to have to wear a chamois with everything. And so far, I can do a good 3-hour ride without a chamois. Saddles are awesome. The bike also comes with a Specialized Traverse alloy wheel set. It's got a T7 tire in the back, the Eliminator T7 tire in the back, and the Butcher T9 in the front. No issues with the tires as well. I've never ridden Specialized tires before. It's actually one of my favorites right now. Behind, Maxxis is my first choice. I haven't tried Kenda yet. Do have a pair. Need to try the Kenda. The tires performed really well. Super grippy. No issues going over chunks, especially when it's wet. The cockpit is also Specialized. It's got a 35mm raised bar. Perfect for trail and park riding. I'm telling you guys, this bike really is an all-round e-bike. And it has a 150mm dropper post, which to me was good as well. Like, I have it all the way up high. Jess Hanna, who's shorter than me, she was on this bike. We had to lower it a little bit, and to her, I think she felt it was fine. So to address the questions that we got from folks on our social media, we had someone ask if I run the same PSI on an e-bike compared to a normal MTB. The answer to me personally is yes, I did run the same PSI, with the caveat that it depends on the terrain that you're riding as well. So I let out a little bit more air if I'm on super chunky stuff. Yeah, so for me, it really depends on the terrain that you are riding in, on what PSI you're gonna run. Someone asked if there's a way to charge the bike if you wanna go bike packing. That's a great question. There is, if you have a way to charge it, you know, with a battery pack or something like that, because the battery has a regular plug, just like you would to plug a computer to charge a computer or something like that. It has a regular plug. So if you have a way to bring a charger where you can do that, then sure. The bike also does have a range extender that you can purchase. And so if you wanna go bike packing, that's also another really good option. The same person asked, how many miles can you ride with the same charge? That again is dependent on what mode you have and what terrain you are riding. I was not able to test it on flat ground to really deplete the battery, but I did almost run out of charge, and I think I did close to 45 miles. Not in one go, but I did 45, 50 miles. It was about 50 miles without having to charge the battery. So we did have a comment where someone said that they really love the bike and it's really helpful for them because they were coming back from a back injury. And the e-bike has helped them get back on the bike, get back to training, and feel comfortable riding a mountain bike out on the trails again. And I think that's absolutely the best point you can make for an e-bike too. A lot of people hate on e-bikes, but you have to think about those who also have somewhat of a disability or are coming back from an injury. An e-bike allows them to get back on the bike and do something that they really love. It did for me. I have a neck issue, and with the e-bike, it allows me to ride longer and still have a blast on the bike. So the Specialized website has all the information you need in terms of the geometry, the components, as well as a sizing chart. They have a size chart that you can kind of gauge if you're going to be between an S1, 2, 3, whatever. Keep in mind that it is just a guide. And like I've said before, bike sizing really is a personal preference. If you want a bike that's more nimble, if you want a bike that's more stability, you want something that's a little bit longer wheelbase, bigger frame, nimbleness if you want something that is shorter wheelbase, smaller frame. A super cool feature as well that Specialized offers, they have 3 different ways you can get the bike delivered to you. One of them really depends on your location. So for me, they sent me the bike directly to my house. I was able to put it together. It wasn't very difficult. You basically just had to put the brakes on, the cockpit, and adjust it to how you want it, pump up the tires. It was really simple. The one caveat is because it was delivered to my house, the bike software wasn't updated. I couldn't actually ride the bike powered up or even connect it with the app because a shop has to update the software in order for the bike to work. For me, I just went to my closest Specialized retailer. It was super quick. They plugged it to their computer, they updated the software, and it was good to go. I'm unsure if Specialized does that now. I'm unsure if they have a home delivery system like that, if the bike is already updated with all the latest software and you can just literally put the bike together, download the app, and go from there. I'm unsure if they do that. I do know that they offer pickup in store, so you can buy the bike, send it to your closest shop. They're gonna set it up for you, have all the software updates and all that good stuff already good to go. So the other cool thing is called the Specialized Delivery, where you get the bike shipped directly to your address by a Specialized technician, and they build it, but they also fit you to the bike, which is super cool. They'll help you get the bike registered, they'll go over basic maintenance, they may even go for a ride with you on it as well, but this is only available in selected areas. So on their website, you can put in your zip code and it'll pop up if that option is available to you. Overall, I think Specialized really nailed it with this bike. The stiffness of the carbon makes it for such a fun ride. It's nimble, it's quick, it's lightweight. The suspension is like butter and the motor is quiet. For the most part, it's quiet, it's powerful. You've got all the different modes and all the different capabilities. You can take it on single track. You can send this thing off of jumps. You can train on it, you know, whether it's long distances, for a race, for anything you want to do. I found that this bike was perfect all around for everything. The components that Specialized put together on this bike work out really well. The plushiness of the Fox suspensions combined with SRAM brakes and the GX T-type transmission, to me, is an all-round combination for success, because the bike sets you up with the components you need to tackle any kind of terrain. The motor, they did such a great job fine-tuning this motor for this bike that I would recommend it for anyone who's looking to get into an e-bike. If you don't want to go full power, try the SL for sure, because the motor is going to give you a lot of power and a lot of torque. Overall, the bike just blew my mind. It continues to blow my mind. It is the funnest e-bike I've ridden in a long time. It takes me anywhere I need. Tell us if you've ridden the Levo SL, if you own it, if you like it, if you hate it, what you like, what you hate about it. Let us know, comment below. I mean, we want this to be an open conversation for everyone. You know, a bike isn't going to be the same for everyone. Not everyone's gonna love it. Maybe everyone's gonna love it, we don't know. So comment below and let us know what you think about the bike.